You're looking up at a starry night sky. A warm fire crackles in front of you. You're talking happily with your friends and family, and then you hear, "Make way for the oven!" Your grandpa brings a Dutch oven filled with a delicious midnight dessert and pops it right down on the hot coals. The Dutch oven we know today was invented in the 18th century in Holland. From there, the oven was taken to America. It was made popular by explorers, miners, trappers, and cowboys. Even though it was very popular in the past, the Dutch oven's popularity is still running strong amongst modern-day campers. Over the years, the Dutch oven has been called many names: a bake oven, a bake kettle, and a camp oven. But all of these describe what the oven is used for: baking and camping. Now that I've given you a little background about the Dutch oven, we're going to learn how to make a delicious dessert. But first, before we do any cooking, all of you need to know some things about the Dutch oven. And we're going to start with seasoning. The purpose of seasoning is to create a slick, non-stick surface that by filling in all the pores of the cast iron. Seasoning will allow for easy cleanup and allow to inhibit rust from growing on your pot. There are two main ways to season: the shortening method and the barbecue method. For the shortening method, start by applying a thin layer of white shortening to the entire pot. Put it in a conventional oven at 400 degrees for 30 minutes or until the pot starts smoking. With the barbecue method, put the oven in an outside grill. Set the heat to medium and get it to smoke. This will also take around 30 minutes. But the good thing about the barbecue method is that you keep the smoke outside of your house. All Dutch ovens should be cleaned as soon as possible after use. Don't wait. It makes it very hard to clean later, and it promotes rust. Use hot tap water to clean your oven and some paper towels. But if it's not clean after the first time, use a couple drops of perfume-free dish soap and a plastic scouring pad. Rinse with cold water and dry with paper towels. Now, after you've learned how to season and clean your oven, you need to learn about the essential tools of the trade when it comes to Dutch oven cooking. First, you start with your lid lifter. A lid lifter allows you to take the lid off your pot when it's hot with the fire. Or you can just do it the simple way, like my family does, with a pair of pliers. Next, you have your heavy gloves so that you don't get burned by your hot oven. Then, you have your tongs. This allows you to move coals around or on top of your oven. Or you could use a shovel. Now, we have our brush. And our brush lets you wipe off coals from the top and in the cracks of the oven. So when you take off the lid, you don't get all those ashes in your food. And next, almost most importantly, you have your heat-resistant surface. And this is because your hot Dutch oven can burn through anything, especially that wooden or plastic picnic table. So, to make this easy, you can use an old cookie sheet, and that's fine because you're not going to hurt it because you're not using it anymore. Now, we're just about ready to start making our dessert, but first, we need to talk about one very important thing: fire safety. Fire safety is very important. Be aware of dangers while using any form of campfire cooking. Always take precautionary measures to protect yourself and the others around you. Here are some things that you always need to remember and have when you're using a fire. Anytime you're camping, start by knowing fire restrictions in the area that you are. Always have a fire extinguisher on hand. Always have gloves when you're working with your fire so that you don't get badly burned. Or if you do get badly burned, have water nearby. And if someone does get hurt badly, always have your first aid kit at the ready. And last, but most certainly not least, always put out your fire when you're done. Now that we've covered all the basics, I think it's about time that we start making the delicious part of this speech, the dessert. So, my family has been big campers up in the mountains in Colorado ever since I was a little girl. So today, I'm going to teach you a dessert that is very close to my heart. Colorado cherry cobbler. I got this recipe from a book that I made myself all about my family's experiences with Dutch oven cooking. We're going to start with our cleaned and seasoned Dutch oven and also a can of cherry pie filling and a box of Jiffy yellow cake mix. And for the sake of time, I already have them out and ready to go in the pot. So we're going to start by taking our cherry pie filling, scraping it inside, and making sure that we cover all of the bottom with our cherry pie filling. We're going to take our lid, put it back on, get our heavy protective gloves, and our tongs. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our coals and move it all around the bottom of the pot. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make the cherry pie filling get nice, hot, and bubbly. Alright, so assuming that our cherry pie filling would be done on the fire now, and take our pliers, take off our lid, and get our cake mixture. We're going to pour that in, and make sure we get that all over the cherry pie filling. You barely want any showing. Now we're going to take our pliers, because we're still working over the fire, and our lid is still hot. And we're going to put that on, get our tongs again, and move our coals to the top. It's very important to put your coals on the top, because what we're doing here is that the hot, gooey, bubbly cherry pie filling is cooking the cake batter from the bottom, while the coals are cooking it from the top. So you're going to get a nice consistency, and it'll cook faster that way. So, a very important thing now, when you're cooking with a Dutch oven, is that you're going to peek constantly, because you never know what heat your fire is, and you never want to accidentally burn something. But, you know, we are human. It's going to happen sometimes, so don't feel bad when it does. So, when our cobbler's done, it's going to be a nice golden brown color. Take it, serve it hot, and I recommend some vanilla ice cream if you have it on hand. If you've never heard about the Dutch oven cooking before today, I hope that I've taught you something about it. I told you how the oven was part of America's past, and how popular it still is today amongst modern day campers. You learned about seasoning a Dutch oven and the equipment that is needed to cook this way. And remember, fire safety is very important. Take precautionary measures for everyone. Make sure your cooking experience is a fun and safe one. There is plenty of summer left for everyone to try this type of cooking. You can find many recipes online or use my resource, which was the Dutch Oven Resource Book. A steaming bowl of cherry cobbler around the fire with your family and friends. Now that is living. And that is Dutch oven cooking. Do I have any questions?
When you talk about using white shortening to season it, are you talking about lard or are you talking about a commercial shortening?
The question was, when I was talking about seasoning, I talked about the shortening seasoning method, and that would be something like Crisco that you would line your pot with.
So I would not use lard.
No, you would not use lard.
Why perfume-free soap?
The question was, why perfume-free soap when you're cleaning your oven? And the answer is because you never want to make sure some of that scent, because normally when want to have that in your dessert. So just making sure.
If I just use water to clean it, do I really get it clean?
The question was, if you just use water to clean your pot, will you really get it clean? And if you use hot water, yes. But honestly, I would go with the soap just to make sure you get everything clean. But if you go with your hot water, then you'll be okay.
Can you use it in an oven?
The question was, can you use it in an oven? And you mean use this, like cook it in the oven? I guess you could. It'd be really difficult though because it's made for going in the fire. I guess you can get an oven as hot as the fire, but I recommend just using it for the fire because that's what it's meant for.
Do you ever use wood in your fire or do you always use wood?
The question was, do we use wood in our fire or coal? And it's always a wood fire. Yeah, there's a my version of the little coals that come out of the wood.
Oh, so those are briquettes.
No, you can use briquettes, of course, but I really couldn't find anything else like to use this wood and paint that up, so I just got rock.
What's the cost of buying an oven?
The question was, what's the cost of buying an oven? And honestly, I'm not really sure because I just got out of high school and I haven't bought one myself, so my parents invested in this baby.
That's all right, we'll let it. Do you ever use any other mix on top that I mix up my own batter and put that in?
The question was, can you make anything in a Dutch oven, pretty much?
And I instead of using a cake mix like that, could I find the recipe?
Of course, of course. You don't have to use the cake mix to cook in a Dutch oven. It's an oven, anything that you can put in a pot or put in a pan and put in your oven at home, you can put in a Dutch oven.
I know it's going to vary, but can you give an approximate time that it takes to cook?
The question was, can I give a time that something would take to cook? And it depends on what you're cooking, and it depends on the heat of the fire. So I can't exactly give an approximate time, but this cherry cobbler would take around probably 30 minutes. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yeah. The question was, what's the best thing I've ever made in my oven? And I have to say that everything over a fire, cooked nice and fresh, is always delicious. But I think one of my favorite things would be chicken and biscuits. Any other questions?
Cook, I mean, you put raw chicken in there and cook. You don't worry about getting it done.
Yeah, it's raw chicken. You're gonna get it done. It's just like if you put raw chicken in the oven. Yeah. Anything you put in your oven, you can put in a Dutch